This is a quick demonstration of editing animation states in Project Zomboid using the new Anim-Z editor. Here we can see the player with his animation debug showing. We see he has one layer of animation active. The system allows for multiple layers to be blended together that will form very complex and situational animations from a smaller base set. For the purposes of this demonstration, we are limited to one layer only. Currently the layer is playing the player's idle state. The default node is selected, which in turn is playing the Bob idle animation. Along with the current play information, we see the player has a couple of variables set. Weapon, which is set to two-handed. An aim, which updates as we toggle aiming. Variables will allow us to hook to gameplay information and create animations with minimal code. This is a big change from the systems currently in place in the live build. Moving over to Anim-Z, we can see this data in action. We see that we have two animation sets currently. Player and zombie. Organizing data in two sets means adding new animations and packaging them together is a much more logical process. Each animation set has different states. These represent the major action the character is performing. Here we see only idle and movement. As we hook things back together, we will see new states such as attacking, taking damage, driving, and so on. Each state is built up from nodes which are the binding between animation and the context of the character. In the live build, a lot of code is making these decisions. By moving to a data-driven solution, we create a very flexible way to layer the animations. It is also possible to see data changes live. If we open up the default node, we can see the information controlling the animation. We can see all the animations available to us from the drop-down list. Changing this selection allows us to see the results on the character immediately. We can change the speed of the animation and find something a little more reasonable. Obviously our player is carrying a bat, so let's change to the idle with bat animation. This works for a test, but isn't a good approach because with only one node available, every player will play that animation regardless of what they are carrying. We can now extend the state with a new node to cater for this conditionally. We add a new node and give it a sensible name. Next we select the appropriate animation, Bob Idle Bat, and set up the basic parameters. As we can see, it's still not playing. This is because the default node is still the first best fit node for the character's current variables. Let's create a condition that checks if weapon is equal to two-handed. We set this up as a string match. Instantly you can see the animation has been updated on the player and it is correctly selected the new idle bat node. The selected node will always be the most complex valid fit. In this case, the idle bat node has the most variables which are all correct. What about aiming? Let's add another node and name it aim. Let's set up the node with sensible values and pick an aiming animation. To let the system select this node, we need to add a condition. For this, we choose to interpret aim as a Boolean value which is either true or false. Now when we toggle aiming, we can see it move in and out of the new node. This would be great if the player wasn't carrying the bat, so we need to go a little deeper and add a new state for aiming with a bat that has a closer fit for its conditions. Again, we set the basic animation information. As Anim-Z matures, these values will be automatically set based on the selected animation. But for now, we quickly set them and create two new conditions. The first condition is that we are aiming. The second condition is that we have a two-handed weapon. This now works as the most appropriate fit and means the player will be moving between playing the idle with bat animation and idle aiming with bat animation as the aim variable changes. This is just a very simple scenario to demonstrate the changes that have been worked on over the last few weeks. When multiple layers are blended together with masks, we start to see what look like complex animations from a much smaller and manageable data set. Anim-Z and the animation system are still being developed. The interface may change slightly over the coming weeks, but this should still serve as a good overview of the functionality the new animation system will bring.